Hi everyone, this is a helpful video on the IXL assignment comparing rational numbers. Okay, as a quick review, we know that rational numbers are any numbers that can be written as a ratio where you have a number in the numerator and a number in the denominator, but that number in the denominator cannot be zero. Okay, that's important to remember. Okay, so you could say like the whole number 6 is a rational number because you could write that as a ratio of 6/1. You can also say that 0.5 is a rational number because that can be written as a ratio of 1/2. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. We're only going to look at a couple of these at a time. So these are questions that came right from the IXL assignment. Okay. And you're looking at these fractions and you're trying to find what statement is going to make this a true statement. However, we look at these signs and just as a reminder, these are inequality signs. Okay. So for instance, this is your greater than sign. This is going to say that whatever that first number is going to be greater than that second number, okay? This is your less than sign. This is saying that whatever that first number is that's on this side is going to be less than the number that is on this side, okay? And then you have your equal to sign. Let's say that both of the numbers on each side, they're the same. That's where you would select that equal to sign. So taking a look at this first example, we have this equation of, we have this inequality statement. We're trying to figure out what goes in the middle of these two, okay? So we've got 3/4 and we've got 1/4. And we have to figure out which side is bigger. Okay, this is kind of an easy one because if you think about quarters, okay, let's say 4/4 makes $1. So 4/4 equals $1, right? You're trying to figure out, okay, so I have 3/4, my friend has 1/4, right? Who has more quarters? Is it me with the 3/4 or is it my friend with the 1? We would say that I have the most quarters, so we would say that this should be a greater than sign. Okay, so we would say that this is the correct answer. 3/4 is greater than 1/4. Okay. Want to skip over to another question. This was a pretty simple one. Now we want to kind of take a look at those questions that might be a little bit more challenging. So we're looking at this question here. Same thing. We got to figure out which sign is going to make this a true statement. We've got the greater than and the less than and the equal to. Now, this question is a little bit more challenging because as you can see, you have 1/5 and you have 7/20. The problem is they both don't have the same denominator. So in order to make this look more friendly and be able to decide which is the bigger number, it's important to look at making the denominators the same. So we're going to say we want this to be 20 and we want this to be 20 as well. And the reason why we're saying we both want them both to be 20 is because 5 can go into 20. And so we would say that we want to just make the denominators equivalent. So how many times does 5 go into 20? We said that 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is going to give us 20, which means we have to multiply the numerator by 4 as well. Okay, 5 times 4 is 20, 1 times 4 is 4. Now this looks better. This looks much easier to decide which side is bigger. Is it 4/20ths or is it 7/20ths? And we would say that 7/20ths is bigger. So we want the inequality sign, the open part of the inequality sign, to be facing the bigger number. Okay. It's kind of saying, you know, this side is bigger, kind of turning away from this smaller side. So we would say that 4/20 is less than 7/20. So this would be our correct answer. Okay. Take a look at a couple others. What about this one? So this is very similar to the one we just looked at. However, we're looking at -1/8. And then we're looking at -3/5. Okay. With this, with the last question we did, it was nice because 7/20, all we had to do was fix the other fraction, make the denominators match. However, with this one, 5 cannot go into 8, 8 cannot go into 5. So we have to find that number that both 8 and 5 will go into. Okay. We're going to take 8 and 5, and a good way to look at that is just kind of, you can multiply them by each other to get that number as well, or you can look at even smaller numbers, but we're going to look at making the denominators both 40. Okay. So in order to make this first fraction equivalent, the denominator equivalent to 40, we just multiplied 8 times 5, which means we have to do the same in the numerator. -1 times 5 is going to give us -5. And then over here, to get -3/5, to get 5 to 40, we just multiplied it by 8. Multiply it by 8. Okay. Remember, whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do it to the numerator. So 5 times 8 is 40. -3 times 8 is going to be -24. Now, with this question, it might look like -24/40 is greater than -5/40. But remember, with negative numbers, it's opposite, okay? So we are looking at a number line here, and we're saying that this is 0. We're saying, let's say this is -1. So we're saying that -5/40, and this is just a rough estimate. This is not accurate. This is just a rough idea of where -5/40 would be on the number line, and then -24/40 would be on the number line. Which number is closer to 0? That's what you're looking at when you look at negative numbers. Which number is closer to 0? That's going to be your bigger number. So in this case, we would actually say that -5/40 is greater than -24/40 because it is closer to 0. Okay. So this would be our answer choice. And I know that is kind of tricky, considering if you're looking at the other direction, the positive direction of a number line. If both of these fractions were positive, yes, 24/40 would be greater than 5/40. But since they are negative fractions, we're looking at which fraction is closer to 0. So it's opposite. The smaller number will be the correct, the greater number. Okay. I want to take a look at another one that you'll see. Okay, so in this case, which sign makes the statement true? However, we're looking at this and we're saying one of them is a fraction and one of them is a decimal. How do I make this look simple to where I can just say, hey, that's the bigger number? There's two options you can do here, and I'm going to suggest for this one that we are going to take this fraction and we are going to convert it to a decimal. And this is exactly what we did in class. Okay. Now, the good thing about 5 1/2 is it's very easy to say that, 1/2 is equal to 0.5. 1/2 is equal to 0.5. And you can do that by, dividing 1 divided by 2. So you would take 1, add your decimal and your zeros, and divide by 2. 2 goes into 1, 0 times, bring up your decimal and forget about it. And then 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10, and this just equals 0. So that's an option you can do as well, okay? So converting this to decimal, now we have 5.5, and then we have 5.73. So you can see, looking at this, which is the bigger number, okay? We can always add a 0 to match the amount of decimal places that this is past the decimal. So 5.50 or 5.73. And we would say that 5.73 is the bigger number. So we would say that 5.5 is less than 5.73. Okay. And then just one more to kind of, finish this help video off. Again, we have a decimal and then we have a fraction. So we're going to take this fraction and we're going to convert it to a decimal. And you could do the same thing. We can say 1.0, we'll add 2 zeros, divided by 4. Okay, 4 goes into 1 0 times, bring up your decimal and then forget about it. 4 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. We're left with 2. Bring down this 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20, and we are left with no remainder. So we could say that our new question is 1.25, and then 1.25. Well, looking at this, we can see that this is the exact same number. So we can say that 1.25 is equal to 1 1/4, which converts to 1.25. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any further questions, please reach out and we will be happy to help you.